Character name: Konpaku, the half-ghost assassin. Originally debuted October 2011. Overall look and changes. Konpaku is designed to give off a samurai or ninja-like look, with color blocking designed to appear like he's wearing different colored pieces of armor. His concept design was originally supposed to be a pairing with the concept design for Mars, this time being an all-white being with control over time. This concept was scrapped in favor of the Konpaku we know today, adding dark green and keeping the white kakama. Since his original debut in 2011, Konpaku has received numerous changes, such as Character bio. Titles and occupations. Konpaku was originally a Lee Matoran who lived in a village on an unnamed island south of Metru Nui. At some point in his life, he began to hear voices talking to him from inside his head. At first, he thought he was going crazy, but soon he realized that the voices were giving him advice to make his life easier. Konpaku soon became known for this ability, using it to help his village several times. Life was good, until one day, the Matoran in Konpaku's village began to hear stories of a monstrous creature known as Flandrix terrorizing nearby islands. Konpaku was curious, and began to seek out the creature with help from the voices. He found Flandrix, and this curiosity cost him his life. Unbeknownst to Konpaku, the Great Beings had other plans for him. They revived half of his spirit and sent it back to his original body. The other villagers were shocked when Konpaku was mysteriously resurrected, and from that point on, Konpaku heard the voices no longer. Ashamed by his sudden lack of usefulness, he became more of a loner, choosing to live in solitude on the outskirts of the village. Slowly, Konpaku's fellow villagers began to grow superstitious of him, as anyone who got close to him ended up getting ill or just dropping dead entirely. Eventually, the fears reached a boiling point, and Konpaku was forced to flee the village for his life. He was then intercepted by an Order of Motunui's spy who had been watching him ever since word of his abilities reached the Order. The spy brought him to Daxia, where he was transformed into a Toa. Up until that point, the other half of Konpaku's spirit was invisible, but when he transformed into a Toa, it became visible. The Order explained Konpaku's situation to him, offering him a place among their ranks. Konpaku was angered by the realization of what he'd become, as it had been the cause of his expulsion from his village. He vowed to take revenge on whoever did this to him, and the Order made a promise to assist him in that effort if he'd agree to join. Naturally, Konpaku did agree, and was placed in the Assassin Division of the Order. There he quickly rose in the ranks until becoming top assassin in the division. Later, he would be dethroned by Noxus, a newcomer to the Order, causing a heated rivalry between the two assassins. Personality. Konpaku was never your typical Lee Matoran. He was usually quiet and docile, but after his spirit was split in two, his demeanor quickly changed. Nowadays, he's more egotistical, and plays the sort of schoolyard bully character role. However, he takes his job seriously, even when it means working together with his rivals. He has the skills to back up his ego as well. He possesses extreme focus, but sometimes tends to overreact in contentious situations. Due to his spirit being split in half, Konpaku has less weighing on his conscience as a Toa assassin. Therefore, the Toa Code does not hold him back. This makes Konpaku one of the most merciless warriors in the Order. Abilities and powers. Konpaku is a Toa of air, but the split in his spirit keeps him from being able to control his element. Now, as a half-spirit, he can manipulate his own spirit's energy into powerful attacks. His spirit half has all the properties of a ghost, being completely intangible and able to possess soulless bodies. It can also directly attack the spirits of living beings. As well as that, the spirit half can visually transform into an identical duplicate of Konpaku's Toa half, and he can also swap physical locations with the spirit half at will. Konpaku can also see from his spirit's half perspective, like a second set of eyes. Important possessions. Konpaku has two swords, one of which is a short sword he uses for dueling and dual wielding. His other sword is just a hilt, which he can possess with his spirit half to generate a blade in the shape of a katana. This ghost blade can pass through its target's body to directly attack their spirit. He can also launch the blade from the hilt as a powerful projectile attack. Konpaku wears a Kanohi Kakama, the Great Mask of Speed, which he painted with the traditional markings of his village. MOC Analysis. Inspiration and Theme. Konpaku is directly inspired by a character from the Toho Project games, Yomu Konpaku. His name, powers, and half-spirit are pretty much directly stolen from Yomu. His backstory and place in-universe is original, however. Naturally, Yomu's theme, Mystic Oriental Dream Ancient Temple, was chosen as Konpaku's theme. Konpaku's theme is a folk/metal version of this song, performed by Lazy Sound Life. MOC features. Konpaku has connection points on his hands to allow him to hold his weapons. There's also a connection point on his hip to store the hilt of the ghost blade, and a connection point on his back to hold his short sword. This system piece can attach to the short sword to look like a strap. It can also be stored behind his head when not in use. Konpaku stands 8.5 inches tall and roughly 4 inches wide. MOC Articulation. Overall, Konpaku has 24 points of articulation. He has full ankle mobility, a greater than 90-degree knee bend, full hip mobility, a very large range of waist articulation only partially hindered in the back, full head articulation, shoulder articulation hindered in the front and back, a 45-degree elbow bend, full wrist and finger articulation, and 2 ball joint articulations on his spirit half's tail. Interesting building techniques. Konpaku's shoulder armor has skid plates shoved underneath to fill in gaps, which are held in place by 1 long cut flex tube pieces. In fact, several pieces went under the knife for this build, most notably the Zactan spine. In case you're wondering, yes, I do have a spare one to replace it. Notable flaws. Konpaku's shoulders are about the only articulation flaw on the build, but it's worth noting that he's not as bad as Ray regarding posability here. His thinner arm design and hollow sides allow the shoulder armor to slot in, almost allowing him to cross his arms. Another flaw would be that his Kanohi Kakama isn't able to be held in place on the Metru head. Other Toamata masks allow for pieces to be placed on the sides of the head to hold the mask still, but the Kakama's shape doesn't allow for this. Fun facts. The markings on Konpaku's mask are done with the green Sharpie. Eventually, I'd like to replace this mask with a custom painted mask by Moldalt Masks, where the green lines are replaced with tribal designs of the same color. Overall thoughts and criticisms. Overall, Konpaku is one of my favorite MOCs. Out of all my other creations, he has some of the best color blocking, and he's also the simplest Toa-sized MOC I have, which works in favor of his design heavily. He's easily the most recognized Toho-inspired MOC I have, and I hope his more blatant inspiration doesn't detract from his awesome character at all. I find his leg design is still too short for his torso, but it's not super obvious at first glance due to the way the Paraka spine piece draws your eye away from the hips and towards the upper torso. What would you rate this MOC out of 10? Any questions about the build or the character? Leave your thoughts in the comments below, and as always, thanks for watching.